DaVinci, Blender, Final Cut Pro. We have RAW, we have Red, we have Sony, we have Canon, we have H.265, H.264, 4K, 6K, 8K, as well as slow motion and Blender. Finally, we're going to go to Final Cut to run through everything in the same timeline. Like all my reviews, this is unscripted, unsponsored, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in real life test. And if you're like me who have the M1 but not sure if you should upgrade to the M4, well, to answer this question, I'm going to try the same timeline, not just on the M4, but also on the M1, side-by-side comparisons of how it actually performs. And if you only want to see the actual test of the results, you can skip down to the timestamps right now. Otherwise, I want to tell you why I'm considering the M4. See, the thing is, being an Apple product, every version gets a little bit better. But does that justify an upgrade? Probably not. With the M4, I really do like the color. It looks really, really good. Does it get fingerprints? Yes, it does. Unfortunately, that can't be helped. Now, the first and foremost thing is obviously the M4 chip. It is a lot better than the M1. How much though? Well, here's a quick Geekbench 6 that I've done to show you. As you can see, a lot of improvements, but that to me doesn't really mean anything. And for me, what's most important is my editing experience. Not just the render time, but for me, it's the overall editing process. Whether I'm able to play back and drag a smooth footage, regardless of the format. The second thing I'm considering is the Thunderbolt 5. Now keep in mind, the base version does not come with Thunderbolt 5. Only the Pro and the Max comes with Thunderbolt 5. Do you need it? Probably not. But the fact that if you're like me who only upgrades your laptop every 3 to 4 years, this helps you future-proof your laptop. And finally, the third thing is nano texture. It was previously offered on the XDR display. At the time, I thought unnecessary given that it's always inside indoors. But given it's a laptop now and I'm carrying everywhere I go, having an anti-reflective screen does really help with the whole process. Whether or not it's worth it though, I'm going to leave that up to you. Okay, now without further ado, let's get into DaVinci Resolve. Wow, you can see here, the speed is a lot faster on the M4. I've created two timelines, a 25 but also a 60 FPS. My timeline you can see here is 4K and 60 FPS. And then on top here you can see it's running at 60 frames per second. Okay, so let's have a look what videos have I prepared. I've got a 4K H.265, I've got a video shot on the FX3 in H.265, a BMPCC RAW in 25 frames per second, a 6K Red RAW, Apple ProRes 422, we've got Canon H.265, 60 FPS, XAVC, which is the codec used on the Canon C400, 422, 6K, and also a Canon RAW footage. And then finally, I'm gonna stack these videos together to see how many does it take for us to break the M1 and the M4. Of course, none of these videos have color grading, but I will be turning them on later in the episode. Okay, let's look at the first video. Wow, playback is super smooth, everything is done at 60 FPS. That's no surprises here. Here's another one in 24 FPS, absolutely no problems. Next is the Sony H.265. This is quite common in Sony cameras these days. It is heavily compressed. This is 422 in 10-bit in 4K 24 FPS. Playback is absolutely fine, all in 60 FPS. Let me just drag this so you can see the playhead. On the M1 and the M4, not too bad. Slightly jittery on the M1, but the M4 does it flawlessly. Of course, this is ungraded, but once we color grade this, we might see a bigger difference between the two laptops. Let's go into BMPCC's footage. Of course, this is native on the DaVinci Resolve, so it should perform relatively well. But let's have a look at playback. 60 FPS, absolutely fine. Super smooth dragging across the videos. Now let's look at Red 6K footage. Playback, pretty smooth. However, on the M1 you can see here 21 frames per second, whereas on the M4 it's still smooth at 60 FPS. Let's drag this across, so smooth on the M4. And what about the M1? Not too bad. However, when you play back, there's a little bit stuttering. Next is the Apple 4K ProRes. I don't think there should be any problems with this. DaVinci with the M chip running Apple ProRes usually is pretty smooth. Even dragging across, no problems. Let's go to Canon. This is Canon's 264 60 FPS 4K video. Let's have a look. Both are 60 FPS, playback is fine on both laptops. What about dragging across? On the M1, a little bit stuttery, M4 is pretty smooth. Let's look at M1 again. Yeah, you can see, a little bit stuttering. Okay, let's go to the next one, H.264, 422, 60 FPS. Playback looks fine. It's only when you're dragging the videos we're seeing a little bit of slowdown. Next we have the XF AVC Intra 422 4K 29 FPS. Okay, let's have a look at Playback. Look at that, both looks relatively fine. Now let's look at 6K Canon RAW 50 FPS. Both Playback at 60 frames per second, at least on screen. Pretty smooth. However, look at M1. Can you see? It looks like it is stuttering a little. The software isn't picked this up, but you can see from the video, you can see that the M4 plays back a lot more smoother, whereas the M1, you can see the screen, there's a little bit of stuttering. Okay, so through editing, it looks like both laptops does a relatively good job. But who just does basic editing? Let's do some effects. Here we have Optic flow in DaVinci Resolve, and let's see how well does it perform between the two laptops. Now this is a BMPCC 25 FPS footage. I'm going to slow it down to 10%, and let's see how does it do in real-time playback. Remember, this is a 60 FPS timeline. Okay, let's play back and have a look. Okay, can you see the M1? It's a little bit stuttering, whereas the M4 is a lot more smoother. Let's drag it across the clip. Not too bad, whereas the M1, you can see, it needs a little bit of thinking time. So as you can see, I'm playing back at full resolution, so this is full, not half or quarter. And just to make sure, let me clear the cache as well, just so that you think I'm not doing this beforehand. Okay, so delete my cache, and let's play back again. Here we go. See, exactly the same. M4 does a lot more smoother, whereas the M1 has a little bit more trouble. So now let's put on color grading to the video clips and see how well do they perform. Just quickly show you my nodes. The first node is denoiser. Now as you know, denoiser does eat a lot of CPU or processing power, so this should have a significant impact on the playback speed. And then on the back we have color grading, white balance, my normal grading. So all of these shouldn't actually impact the video as much. The second last node is film grain. Now one thing I should let you know is that film grain and denoiser uses a lot of computing power. This is going to dramatically slow down our playback footage. If you don't believe me, let me show you. Let's turn off grain and let's turn off denoiser and just play back with normal color grading, and let's have a look. Okay, 56 frames per second, so we dropped 4 frames. Okay, if we drag it across, still doable, but now let's turn on denoiser and play back. From 56, it's now at 14 frames per second. Now let's do the same on the M1 and see what it looks like. Okay, turn on denoiser, we're down to 10 frames per second, so 3 to 4 frames less than the M4. Now let's turn on film grain as well. The M1 dropped from 10 frames to 6 frames per second. What about the M4? Let's turn on film grain. So from 14 frames per second to 10 frames per second. So for me, typically when I do a usual edit, I would turn off grain and film grain until the last minute. Alternatively, I could also play back in half and it will play very smoothly. As you can see here, 40 frames per second. Okay. Now if I do the same on the M1, if we play back on half resolution, it is now at 20 frames per second. So you can basically tell the M4 is nearly double in power versus the M1. Okay, let's return back to full resolution and let's try the next clip. This is Blackmagic RAW. If we just do a basic 709 conversion and then plus a secondary LUT and see what it looks like. Still super smooth, dragging across, you can see not a problem on the M4. A little bit stuttery on the M1, it's at 41 frames per second, whereas the M4 is still at 60 frames per second. Okay, now this is a red footage. I'm using a different node. This is basically just color grading and a few tweaks here and there. So the playback speed is around 50 to 60 FPS. We do the same on the M1. Turn off denoiser, but leave film grain on. We're getting roughly 8 to 9 FPS. Next, we have the Canon RAW. Okay, so basic color grading, 709. Very smooth, 60 FPS, not a problem. Let's turn on denoiser, and you can see straight away the video drops to about 11 FPS. Wow. You know, just a few years back, I wasn't even able to play back a smooth 6K RAW Canon footage without having my computer blue screen of death. And today we can do this on a laptop that's the size of your backpack. How far have we come? Okay, and finally here is the big one. We want to see how many footages we can play at the same time in one screen. This is H.265 24 FPS 4K video. Okay, there's 4 layers here on both computers, very smooth. Okay, I know you're gonna say, hey, you've got the footage layered in sequential and you're not really seeing what's underneath. So technically you're only playing one video rather than 4 at the same time. Well, let me try this. Here I'm going to layer 12 footages together on one screen simultaneously, and not only that, I'm going to set intervals between these videos so that they are playing different frames at the same time. 3, not a problem. 4, still good. 5, good. 6, still good. 7, okay. 8, still smooth. 9, not a problem. Oh, you can see that M1 is started to slow down after the 9th screen, whereas the M4 was still playing. Okay, now to make everything a little bit easier, we're going to the 25 FPS timeline to run the same test. Before we're on 60 FPS. Let's have a look. Okay, 9, 10, 11, 12, both are still running. You can see the M4 is running a little bit better. The M1 is struggling to keep up. Okay, and it's gone. Okay, it froze. Okay, so now let's check out render times. This is a 9-minute footage of all different videos combined. It is a 60 FPS timeline with 4K video. Now this is already 3 minutes, and you can see here the M4 is nearly twice as fast versus the M1. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, time's up. 20 minutes and 44 seconds, the M1 has completed the 9-minute footage, whereas the M4 took 16 minutes. It's still longer than the actual footage because there was a lot of color grading and effects in the footage. Everything is done this afternoon without power plugged in. The M4 is now at 39%, the M1 is at 32%. Okay, now let's go to Final Cut and do the same thing. But one thing to note, Final Cut does not natively read Blackmagic raw footage unless you have a third-party plugin, which I don't have right now, so I'm going to use every other footage except the BMPCC footage. I have dragged into Final Cut. Just dragging across the timeline, you can see super smooth. This is why Apple and its native product makes the whole editing experience so much better. By the way, I'm a DaVinci user. Okay, now let's test a effect. I'm using the magnetic mask in the Final Cut Pro 11. Okay, just drag it in on both the M1 and let's do the same on the M4. This is amazing. Okay, it uses AI to help us rotoscope our subject. You can see here right now, the M4 is nearly double the speed in calculating and cutting our subject out versus the M1. The M4 does have an AI powered chip, so maybe that helps a little bit as well. This is why I recommend if you have not done any editing and you're thinking about editing and you're using an Apple, why not try Final Cut? Okay, render times. How does it compare? Now, this is a 5-minute footage. Let's start. M4 finished the video at 5 minutes and 28 seconds, whereas the M4 is still running at 71%. The M1 finished at 7 minutes and 11 seconds versus 5 minutes on the M4. Finally, let's check out Blender. 2 different scenes. This one's from Ian Hubert, one of my favorite artists. Okay, you can see here, just scrolling through, it looks a lot more smoother on the M4 versus the M1. Let's render the image and see how fast it takes. This is Eve's. M4 took 6 seconds, where the M1 took roughly 14 seconds. Let's change this to cycles, and let's do the same test. Okay, the M4 finished in 51 seconds, whereas the M1 finished in 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Let's do the same one in classrooms. M4 used 3 minutes and 42 seconds, whereas the M1 used 8 minutes and 27 seconds. Now, one thing I like to emphasize that you can see here, my room has turned from day to night. And the whole test that I've done today that you've seen are done with one power charge from 100%. And as of now, my M4 is at 8%, whereas my M1 is roughly at 2%. By the way, during my test, my fan did run twice during rendering, and usually it's around a minute or 2, so not too long, but it does kick in. But as you can see, both laptops ran off power for the whole day. If you do plug in the power brick, it does actually perform a little bit better. But, you know, like me, I want to give you an honest review. Who actually bring a charger or a power brick when you go out on a cafe, when you're working on your laptop, unless it's low on juice. So I really want to give you a real life comparison, what it looks like, how long they actually last for a whole day of editing. probably a couple of hours, 5 to 6. Hopefully that gave you an honest and realistic insight on how the M4 Pro performs. For me personally, the faster chip, the smoother editing experience, and the color, plus the nano texture and Thunderbolt 5, maybe it's time to consider upgrading. I'm George, thank you for staying to the end. More honest, unscripted reviews coming your way.